Hello. This week's Torah portion, Bechukkotai, is well known because of the many blessings and curses it contains. It says that if we obey God's commandments, we will enjoy a series of blessings. If we disobey God's commandments, we will endure an even longer series of curses. This is the doctrine of Mipnei Hata'enu. Because of our sins, we were punished. The Rambam put this as the 11th of his 13 principles of faith. Quote, "The Lord, blessed be He, rewards him that fulfills the commandments of the Torah and punishes him that transgresses them, the greatest rewards being that of inheriting a portion in the world to come, Olam Haba, and the most severe punishments being that of extinction." Unquote. Indeed, the worst Jewish curse is Yemach Shemo V'zichrono. May his name and his memory be erased. So it will all even out in the world to come. The message is clear. Bad things happen to you because you did something wrong and God is punishing you. Actually, even if it's your fellow Jew who did it, you're still responsible for his actions, because the Talmud says, Kol Yisrael Aravim Ze Bazeh. All Jews are responsible for one another. The sages derived this principle from our Torah portion, which says, quote, "And they shall stumble upon one another," unquote. Note a critical point. The Torah says good things will happen to you if you observe the commandments, but does not say nothing bad will ever happen to you if you observe the commandments. Likewise, the Torah says bad things will happen to you if you don't observe the commandments, but does not say nothing good will ever happen to you if you don't observe the commandments. So, it's possible to be good and have bad things happen, or be bad and enjoy good things. Yet the sages frequently imply that that is never the case. This is the basic problem of what's called theodicy. Bad things happening to good people and vice versa. But is even strict observance enough? The Talmud says that the first temple was destroyed because the three cardinal sins of Judaism prevailed in the land of Israel: idolatry, sexual immorality, and murder. But the Talmud continues, but why was the second temple destroyed, seeing that in its time the people were occupying themselves with Torah observance and mitzvot and the practice of charity? Because hatred without cause prevailed, sinat chinam. That teaches you that groundless hatred is considered as serious as the three sins of idolatry, sexual immorality, and murder together. Unquote. The message is, it's not enough to be good, you must also be nice. When Jerusalem was destroyed by the Romans, the Talmud records that each rabbi had his own reason why it happened. Abaye said, Jerusalem was destroyed only because Shabbat was desecrated there. Rabbi Abahu said, Jerusalem was destroyed only because they neglected the reading of the Shema in the morning and the evening. Rabbi Hamuna said, Jerusalem was destroyed only because they neglected the education of school children. Ullah said, Jerusalem was destroyed only because its inhabitants were not ashamed of each other, as they committed abominations. Rabbi Yitzhak said, Jerusalem was destroyed only because the small and the great were made equal. Rabbi Amram, son of Rav Shimon bar Abba, said, quoting Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, quoting Rabbi Hanina, Jerusalem was destroyed only because they did not rebuke each other for their bad behavior. Rav Yehuda said, Jerusalem was destroyed only because scholars were despised there. Unquote. Each rabbi even believed his reason was exclusive. Some reasons are ritual, some ethical, some seem big, some seem small. Their thinking was any violation, no matter how trivial it may seem, can bring calamity for all. Indeed, when disaster strikes, many rabbis look for violations of halakha, of Jewish law. When they find them, which is usually not hard, they conclude that they were the reason for the disaster as divine punishments. For example, in 1974, the northern Israeli community of Ma'alot was attacked by Palestinian terrorists who machine gunned 25 children to death. Some rabbis said it happened because 25 mezuzot on the school doors did not have kosher scrolls in them. In 2010, giant fires ravaged the Carmel region in Israel. Some rabbis said this happened because of insufficient Shabbat observance in that area. They did not make it up. They never make it up. Their assessment is based on a verse in the book of Jeremiah, quote, "But if you will not listen to me and hallow Shabbat, then I will light a fire in the gates, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched." Unquote. From this, the Talmud concludes, a fire occurs only in a place where there is a desecration of Shabbat. The reasoning is that since abstaining from lighting fires is a prime Shabbat commandment, violations are punished by destructive fires. This view sparks outrage in many less observant Jewish circles, which see it as adding insult to injury. Are all our calamities our fault? Even the Holocaust, which preferentially wiped out the most observant Jewish communities in the world, is our fault? To summarize this philosophy, the Midrash says, quote, Shmuel taught in the 3rd century in the name of Rabbi Shmuel bar Ammi, when can the Gentile government enact an oppressive decree against the Jews and make it effective? At the time when the Jews cast the words of Torah to the ground. Unquote. In other words, our oppressors cannot hurt us if we are observant. If they hurt us, it's because God allowed them to, in order to punish us for our transgressions. Also, it is not up to us to punish our oppressors. They are God's unwitting agents. God will punish them as He wishes in His own good time. Rather, we should focus on not transgressing anymore. Let us discuss these teachings. Are the sages really callous or insensitive to suffering? Of course not. Their deep faith is no doubt the prime reason why they consistently send us this message, which many found outrageous and unacceptable. But I believe they have another reason, a practical one. The sages do not really know why evil exists, any more than the rest of us. They are not interested in speculation about the past, only in planning for the future. Now that evil is here, now that it happens, how can we extract good from it? They have 3 options: blaming God, blaming the oppressors, or blaming the victims. Blaming God would not get us far. God already told us in the book of Job that we cannot understand His reasons. Blaming the oppressors would also not accomplish much good either, other than setting the record straight. It would make the survivors feel even more sorry for themselves and wallow in self-pity. It would make them hate the oppressors. Hatred is destructive and would prevent them from rebuilding normal lives, working for the good of mankind and feeling at peace. But blaming the victims can accomplish some good by getting the victims to become more observant and closer to the tradition, in both ritual and ethical commandments. That is a goal worth pursuing. Note that the sages don't say, don't defend yourself against bad things. There is no fatalism in their teaching. The Talmud says, quote, if someone comes to kill you, kill him first, if that is the only way to stop him. Unquote. It's only after you've been unsuccessful in preventing bad things that you should look for where you are at fault. The practical effect is mixed. Forgetting about truth or reality, if you're convinced that whatever good happens to you is reward for good behavior, and whatever bad happens to you is punishment for bad behavior, would you lead a better life? On the positive side, it would spur you to constantly work on improving yourself. On the negative side, you may become less inclined to confront evil and redress wrongs. In conclusion, we can accommodate the sage's intent by recognizing that we have shortcomings and working to overcome them. We don't have to accept any reasons why terrible things have happened to us and are happening to us. After all, we're not even commanded to. But we accepted to continue to identify as Jews come what may, in spite of the high risk and in spite of the high pressures to abandon our heritage, because something deep within us told us that our heritage was good, that it produced good people who did something good with their lives, and because we simply could not do otherwise and live with ourselves. So, it stands to reason that we should continually study what it means to be a Jew, learn what we Jews are responsible for, and live a little more Jewishly every day. Shabbat Shalom.